Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. The United States of America is, I think, way past its apex, the maximum of what a human civilization could achieve. As in the past, there were other empires and other civilizations, like, for instance, Rome. I will make a parallel in this video between Rome, ancient Rome, and the American Empire, the Roman Empire and the United States of America's empire. It's collapsing as the Rome collapsed, and the theories why Rome collapsed, are still debated, even though you can still find a few reasons, and we can agree to, hey, it was Christianity. I know you don't like that, or some of you don't like that. Well, I'm going to make my point here slowly. Then the other one was overextension. The other one was ethnic diversity. And another one was the elite's degradation. Okay, instead of leading, they became fat and self-indulgent. Is that how you call it? And they became perverted. They perverted themselves. So in this video, I will show you an article that just drew my attention because it's portrayed as see, the Romans were diverse. We are diverse here in America. Diversity is our strength. No, I disagree with that. Diversity is not our strength. I think diversity is the loose screw in our society. It's going to dismantle the fabric of this society slowly. The United States of America, as I said, is on a collapse course right now. And that's what happens, the civilization, develop, go to a maximum, and then they collapse because of they get too comfortable. And when you get too comfortable, you create a weak generation that's going to follow. And the weak generation is going to be more permissible, is going to be more relaxed, more laid back, and then they will destroy everything because the laws of nature are not like that. The laws of nature says the weak will perish and the strong will survive. So let me show you the article. Popular Science, this is where I got it from. Ancient Roman mass grave shows its army's ethnic diversity. Now you can say, well, that's nice. Well, good for you. And I knew exactly when I saw that what they mean. Now you can say that I am like those people who in their toolbox have only a hammer and they see nails everywhere to hit. You can say that. Could be true, but hey, I will tell you, when they said about that, I said probably that was in the 4th century or 5th century or maybe 3rd century. Now, the Romans almost always have auxiliary troops, and I will explain what an auxiliary troop is. This is the Roman army with the auxiliaries, which are the barbarians, mercenaries hired to fight, and they were usually the first ones and sent to the most dangerous locations to fight before the Roman legions were intervening. These were like cannon fodder, like for instance what the Americans do with, let's say, the guys in Syria, the guys in Iraq, and now the clear example, the guys in Ukraine. The Ukrainians are used as America's auxiliary forces. Fight for them and we give them money. When there's going to be no more Ukrainians to fight auxiliaries, they're going to employ the baboons in Romania or Poland or the Baltic states. The Baltic states going to go fast. It's like a little fire and then like a little fart. That's it. Baltic states, no more. Or they will bring their troops, or they will say, okay, stop, because we're too soft. So let me show you what's going on here. The point is not that, oh my God, that's why they lost, or that's why it collapsed. It's because, oh my God, you see, they were diverse like we are here. Among its many feats, Rome featured one of history's most organized and successful military forces. Until this, I would say. Until that, when that happened, everything took a shit. Why? 4th century and 5th century. I will show you. Its organization and deployment helped solidify the empire's century-long reign across the Mediterranean, Western Asia. So they say that organization, when they were not diverse, I must add, I would say. They did it and the other guys destroyed it. In Croatia, archaeologists have discovered a mass grave dating back to the 3rd century Common Era that indicates another key to Roman military strength, the diversity of its soldiers. No, their findings are detailed in a study published by journal PLOS ONE. So, diversity when? Now, I'm not saying these guys were always homogeneous, but you knew when you were a Roman citizen, it was one thing. When you were a guy from the provinces, it was a different thing, like second-class citizen. That's how it was, clear and nice. Now, this is what's going on here. It says here, beginning around 235 Common Era, this is after, Rome entered a period known as the crisis of the 3rd century. For almost 50 years, the empire existed as 3 separate warring policies and nearly collapsed entirely due to economic, political, and military strains. Historical records indicate Mursa was the site of one of this era's many bloody skirmishes around 260 Common Era. This was the beginning. Rome screwed up after after the Dacian Wars. After the Dacian Wars, let's say year 100, 105, 104, the 2 Dacian Wars, Rome did not come to glory. They plundered Russia, Dacia, and they have a little revival after that. And they had games, Rome had games on the Dacian stone and gold and silver for about 150 days continuously. That's how they built the biggest things almost in Rome. With that money, they were bankrupt at that point. Like the Americans right now, they want Russian resources. All right, so that's the first one. And let me tell you, that's the first thing. Diversity was one thing. The Rome expanded too much, could not hold and could not implement their civilization to the provinces, diverse provinces. All right, then next one. By the time Christianity became the state religion of the empire at the end of the 4th century, scholars in the West had already abandoned Greek in favor of Latin, even the Church of Rome. My point is this: 430, 449, right there if you want, but the end. It's and I'm going to make another point. When these guys, the Christian guys, I'm not blaming the Christian guys, because you know my opinion, not assessment on that. I think it's people who are having a lot of resentment towards others, and they play the victim all the time, and they say, the kingdom is going to be right there. Okay, good for you, then let me plunder this right now, and you can have the other kingdom. But it's not like that. These guys came in power. What did they do in Rome? Do you remember what they did? They banned the pagan rites over there, the ancient rites of the Romans, based on obviously on the Greek pantheon, which is, right, Zeus and all those guys. They came with Jupiter and so on. They made a different name for same gods that the Greeks had, we had. But we came with this Middle Easterner thing from the bazaar, and they thought this was better. Why? Because in the world, that's not too many winners. Most of the populations are not winners. Well, winners to a certain extent, and most of them have a resentment towards the guys who are doing great in life. I'm not talking about, plundering and making illegal, under the rules. And they will claim that, let's say, Bezos is so rich, or what's his name, Musk is so rich because he's just plundering and he's just exploits us. Without saying, okay, but if we are as he is, good and strong and so on, then we would be the same, but we're not. So he's a winner, we are not that kind of winners. He didn't break any laws as far as I know, so he's an exceptional, successful guy. Nevertheless, under this, you have to destroy it. They took over the ancient temples, they destroyed some of them, banned those guys, and killed many of them. The tolerant left, if you want. So that's another one. And I'm going to show you in art. I learned this, it was again, how should I put it, emphasized in an anthropology class that I had. What's anthropology? I can't remember what class. I know exactly the building where I took the class, the professor, and everybody else, but I can't remember the class. Nevertheless, this is what they showed us. Portrait of the 4 Tetrarchs. Tetrarchs. The Tetrarchs means like four fours. This Roman statue is missing a limb from when the Venetians stole it from Constantinople during the Crusades. So my point is, these guys were done in about 4th century or something like this. Dated around 300. These guys, look at this lack of quality. That's what I'm going to point. It was a decadence, an art. Look at that, and I'm going to show you more. I mean, what is this? They're kids or something? And you want the details right here. Now I will compare this and contrast this marvelous creation. Look at that, no details. Look how rough is done. I can do that easily. And I'm going to go to art in context. And they give I said famous Roman statues. And they show us this as the first one. Who made this one? This is a garbage statue. Why? I will make this. Look, you see nothing, no details. Look at that. And this is portrayed as, oh my God, it's fantastic. So I would claim that these guys right here are not really working for our civilization. Famous Roman statues, the best ancient Roman sculptures. Now this is, again, 300 Common Era, around 300 Common Era. That coincides with kind of like these guys right here, which already in the, it became a state religion. All right? It didn't start that. It was just oozing its way. And then I will go to these guys here with diversity in war. And I'm going to, as I said, end with this. I will show you some ancient Roman sculptures about 400 years before these guys, to show you the decadence, to show you the difference, how this got to this as being what? Children art. So I'm going to start maybe with this one, but this is not as clear. Going to some other ones. What is this? All right. Look at this. This is an ancient. Remember, compare that with these guys. I would like to have those guys in mind right there, and then I would like you to go as I go with these guys. Right. Even already more defined. And this guy is 1st century before Christ, or Common Era, how you wanna. So this is 100 BC. This is 400 years. In those years, not these today's years, it's more accelerated nowadays. This is 400 years earlier than these guys. All right, look at those years. Jesus Christ. Next one. And this is not a good one. I'm going to go to, look at this guy. This is right there, again in the 1st century BC. So it's again 400 years. 400 years before these guys. You don't even see the hair or anything, right? It's just a line, and that's it. Good to go. Look at this guy. You see the hair. You see the. Look at this guy. This is marble, by the way. Look at those things. The light is perfect. The ears. Look at the ears. Look how clearly they are defined. Compare this 400 years. Don't give me it's a different genre. If it's a different genre, that's baboonish, like in 1930s Germany. I'm going to go to this one. Look at this thing. Hercules. Wasn't it Hercules? No, it wasn't Hercules. Was it? No, it was Laocoons and his sons, because Hercules did not have sons. Anyway, as far as I know. Look at that right there. Look at that, and look at this. This again, this statue is not after this, after we say the artist got some, how do you call it, some more skills. No, it was before. And again, it is 25 BC and 68 CE. So between this, so these were at least 300 years. Look at that. Look at those feet. 300, and look at the veins over there and the muscles. 300 years before this marvelous creation that this fucking, where is that? Is the same one here. This article tells us. Now we're going to go to another one. Look at this right here. The details of the hair and all these things on his chest, on the metal plate or whatever that was. Again, even the balls you can see over there. All right. And this is again 1st century CE, 400 years ago, before those guys. I'm not going to go to this is the column of Trajan on that. My point is this. It was a decline. It was a decline, and you can see the decline in the U.S. empire. as well. They do the same thing, but it's different people, different times, sometimes with a different flavor. But underneath that is the same thing. You dilute yourself. You became fatter and you think that you reached the apex. You forget that's a star over there that you have to reach, even though you know you can't ever reach it. You forget about it and you indulge yourself with women, drinks, food, and not doing shit. These are the elites nowadays, unfortunately. And there are some elites that do not work on our interests. That's based on diversity. Why? Because those elites are not Roman elites. Understand? Capisci? They came with their carts from different part of the Mediterranean Sea, the eastern part of the Mediterranean Sea, selling things and lending money. And those elites nowadays are in charge of the new Roman Empire, which is collapsing. I just wanted to make a little, diversity is our strength garbage. And they are portraying that as, see, they were diverse. When? In year 300? I show you year 400 and the sculptures and the art. You can look at the art. It was a naive art. Not because it was a new genre, like you have the Dadaism or Pointillism in 1930s and 20s in Germany and so on. It's garbage. And then the bad Nazis came with their solid, ugly things they came with. Remember that one? Check into that. And we have obviously Dali and all the impressionists over there before and so on, which I considered some of them borderline with schizophrenia. All right, and I'm not talking about necessarily about the impressionists. I kind of like their color and so on, but like Monet or whatever, Van Gogh and so on. I'm talking about, for instance, as I said, I just mentioned him, the Spanish guy, right? That's, oh my God, you see a nose over here, an eye over there, and oh my God, it's so sophisticated. No, that's decadence. Not that they can't understand it, it's just pushed by whom exactly? By some snobs? By some depraved elites? Let them pay for that millions of dollars if they have them. But we know what that is. That is, let me show you. That is, come on baby, don't play with me. That is decadence, my friends. That is a decadence. This is a low-hanging fruit. So, thank you very much for being with me again today. You know where I'm standing on this issue, right? I want quality. That's where I stand. I want quality. Where there's no quality, it's no quality. I can't say this is quality whatsoever. And I can talk about certain kind of ideologies that push people to, instead of trying to improve themselves, no, they try to destroy by, this is even the, how should I put it, the paradox. Like the Americans nowadays. The Americans are defending us and bringing freedom and democracy everywhere else, but actually it's a rotten democracy. Look what they did here with the elections and not only. It's a rotten system. But they say in the name of these values that are abstract, that are not upheld by these guys that claim to promote them, they push it and they plunder. It's the same thing with the other guys. In the name of being, turning the other cheek, being, not too cocky like I am, and I don't give a fuck. Right? In the name of that, you go and plunder and destroy. I mean, after all, these guys, when they started with the Crusades, they were doing something, you know what I mean. And not only. The countries that went all around the world, if you want, they were also Christian countries. Not because they were necessarily bad, because they could. Right? And if it wasn't for the Arabs to bring us back what the Romans and the Greeks had in the antiquity, it wouldn't have been probably no Renaissance in the West. You understand? Because the Renaissance in the West was going back to their roots of ancient Rome and ancient Greek. That's why it was. But now we have the bazaar, the Judeo-Christian culture, dominant. Where are we going? Nose down. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.